Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. We'll go to the phones here in just a second, 888-589-8840. Let's play clip 3, Rob, first. Senator Chuck Schumer saying, look, if you just do things my way, and by the way, Schumer also said this morning in this speech, I didn't include the soundbite, but he said it is going to be years before the border is secure. That's what he said. Now, I think our position ought to be no fence, no deal. Very simple. No fence, no deal. Only way to secure the border, double-layer security fence across the entire southern border. As John McCain said, build the dang fence. That's what we got to do. We can build the Empire State Building in 17 months in the middle of the Great Depression. We can build a double-layer security fence across the entire southern border. We do not lack the resources or the ability. We lack only the will to do it. And I think our position is very simple. We got to secure the border first before anything else is done. We got to turn off the tap. We got to stop the flood of illegal aliens into America, along with jihadists and terrorists and drug cartels. We got to put a stop to that, and human traffickers and sex traffickers. Stop that, number one, secure the border. Then we talk about this other stuff. So very simply, no fence, no deal. And Chuck Schumer's not in favor of a fence. And he says even if we don't build a fence, which will take some time, he said it's still going to be years before the border is secure. He said, we just can't wait that long to take care of the problem. But anyway, here is Chuck Schumer saying this will solve all of our problems. Let's listen.
Alternatively, they can choose to come legally and work as part of our W Visa work program that is created for individuals to work in jobs where employers cannot find American workers, but only if they can't find them. Up to 200,000 visas a year will be made available for this purpose. We start with a program that can grow. As our economy grows and creates more jobs, and is flexibly related to the rate of unemployment. In addition, a new agricultural program will be set up to replace the previously illegal flow of agricultural workers. Given that the Census Bureau and the Pew Hispanic Center have estimated the illegal flow in past years to be around 400,000, there should be enough visas to meet any demand for additional workers that might exist. If more illegal workers are needed, the newly formed Bureau of Immigration and Labor Market Research can provide additional visas to permit more workers to enter in occupations they find have shortages of workers. Given these new programs, it will no longer make any sense for intending illegal immigrants to spend tens of thousands of dollars and risk their lives to come here illegally. Illegal immigration will be a thing of the past.
So Chuck Schumer says just do it our way, and this will solve the problem of illegal immigration. Illegal immigration will be a thing of the past. Now, of course, this is just absolutely absurd. He's saying the way we solve our problem is we don't have any laws against immigration of any kind. So obviously, if you don't have a law that controls immigration, you can't possibly have illegal immigration because there is no immigration law that could be broken. And you think about it, it's brilliant. This is how we could solve the problem of crime overnight. The way we get rid of crime, Chuck Schumer fashion, is to get rid of laws. Just get rid of every pesky law that people keep violating, and all of a sudden you don't have any criminal behavior. If you get rid of laws against homicide, then you never again have to deal with the crime of homicide because it is not a crime. Poof, problem solved, criminal behavior vanishes. We've solved crime with one bold, brilliant stroke inspired by Chuck Schumer. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to David in Dallas, Texas. David, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Brian. First, I'd like to offer that a small appliance light bulb is brighter than Chuck Schumer. And can you please confirm, I've been seeing a lot of stories here and there lately that never mind the incidentals of the Hispanic illegal aliens in the country, it's the president's real intention to import millions of Muslims, put them on free housing and food stamps, and overflow the demographics of the country, turn into an Islamic nation. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know how intentional that is, but I'm not sure that President Obama cares where these illegal aliens come from. He just wants the nation to be flooded with people who do not share our values, who will bring a different set of values into America, will sort of corrupt and pollute the cultural fabric of America and wear it down, cause it to fray, cause it to disintegrate, and cause it to collapse. And I don't think he much cares where these illegal aliens come from. But it is interesting that we've got a real problem with Muslim immigration. We got another problem that's building right now. Syria's got this civil war going on. I think something like 93,000 people have been killed in the civil war in Syria. And President Obama said this week, we're gonna open the shores of America up to Syrian refugees. They can come in. We're going to let the UN tell us who comes in, who qualifies. And, of course, the UN, well, they're not going to send us any Christian refugees. I mean, the Christians are the ones that are in the worst shape in Syria. But the UN is not going to send us any Christian refugees from Syria. I mean, that's where Damascus is. That's where Paul was converted. I mean, that's got a rich Christian heritage. So there are Christians there, but we're not going to see any of them from the UN. We're just going to get Muslim refugees who are going to be sent to us. And, you know, my point on that is, hey, there's 57 Muslim countries in the world. Are you telling me this is a religion of peace? You keep telling us this is a religion of peace. You telling me you can't find one of those 56 nations around the world that's a friendly enough place where you can provide a refuge for these Syrian refugees? So anyway, that's a long answer to the question, David. I'm not sure it matters to President Obama where they come from.
He was quoted as explaining to a UN official that it's his intention to make America an Islamic nation by 2016.
Well, and I haven't seen that. If you have a link to that, you could mail it to me at Focal Point at AFR Talk. I'd like to see that. I'm not aware of that. Focal Point at AFR.net would be the email address to use. All right, David, send me the link if you can authenticate that, if you can source that. I'd be glad to take a look at it. Let's go to William, Marion, Ohio. William, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind? William, are you there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Cut out for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually calling about the immigration and all that. Why not, like, if somebody breaks the law and everything like that, and we house them and everything, we could get it for harboring fugitive.
Correct.
But all these immigrants and everything that, you know, the tens of millions of immigrants that are in this country illegal, and the government knows about it. They protect them. They allow them to stay here. They actually write laws and everything to postpone them getting deported back to their home country. I mean, wouldn't that fall under the same thing as them harboring 10 million criminals?
Well, you know, technically, from a legal standpoint, William, you got a really good point. If they have broken the law and they're hiding out, that makes them a fugitive from justice. If you are helping them to do that, then you are aiding and abetting a criminal enterprise. That makes you have legal guilt, legal culpability. And, you know, you're right. That's exactly what this administration is doing. They're aiding and abetting the breaking of the law. In fact, President Obama has sort of enacted this DREAM Act all by himself with an executive order telling, you know, ICE agents, look, you can't enforce the law. If they say that they were brought to this country before they were 16 by their parents, you have to take their word for it. They don't have to prove it. They don't have to show any documentation. All they got to do is tell you. They don't even have to tell you in English, and you have got to let them go. Well, that's flatly and completely illegal. So President Obama himself has become the chief enabler of criminal behavior when it comes to violating our immigration laws. All right, William, that's a good call. That's a.
And actually, I had another thing. Just like all the Islamic extremists coming into the country. Well, I always grew up and everything. You know, you don't invite somebody into your home that you don't trust. If you don't trust them, you don't invite them in your home.
Right.
I mean, and that should be about the same thing as inviting all these immigrants into our country. If we don't trust them or have doubt, they shouldn't just be pouring them in hand over fist and everything into the country. Then they got to monitor them and watch them, and that gives them open to, you know, monitor millions of other American citizens.
Yeah. Well, William, that's a good point. You know, and we are not at all against immigration. We are against illegal immigration. We are for legal immigration. We are for legal immigrants. And I think most of us in the listening audience would share that we think the priority ought to be in inviting people into our home. And that to use that analogy that William has used, you know, you open the front door of your home and you get to decide. It's your home. You get to decide who comes into your living room and who doesn't. That's up to you to decide. You invite people over. Somebody comes to the door that you don't know. You open the door. You decide whether you let them in or not. That's up to you. And we have the same right as a nation to decide who comes into our living room as a nation. And our priority ought to be we ought to want new people to come to America, but they ought to share our values. They ought to be committed to assimilate, to become an American, not a hyphenated American, but an American, to adopt our values, to have a respect for our religious traditions and not try to replace it with their own, and who will contribute something to America, who have something to give, something that will enrich America. People who are not coming here to take and to drain, but are coming here with something, whether it's a skill, whether it's education, whether it's ability, whether it's innovation. They have something to contribute, something that will enrich American life. And I've told this story before. Debbie and I have some very good friends. They were in my church when I pastored back in Idaho. They're from Romania. They would love to become United States citizens. They came on a student visa. Student visas expired when they graduated college. They did everything in their power to apply for permanent residency here. Legal residency, could not get it. They're now living in Canada. That's not where they want to live. They want to live here in the United States. They love this country. They are devout followers of Jesus Christ. Both of them are very gifted concert pianists. We went to their recitals when they were graduating college. Debbie and I did. Amazingly gifted artists and musicians. These are exactly the kind of people that we ought to welcome with open arms, and we ought to do everything in our power to facilitate and smooth the way for them to become full-fledged American citizens just as soon as we possibly can. But instead, we sent them to Canada. We said, you're not welcome here. At the same time, we've got an administration trying to open the floodgates for people who are low-skilled, who are going to compete with already out-of-work Americans for vanishing number of jobs, who are going to come and consume welfare resources and weaken this country from within. Focal Point AFR Talk, back after the news.